Welcome to your Pearl Masterclass, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be going through the entire map, all the new changes, off angles, meta comps, everything you need to know to improve your win rate on this map, and finally, for once, not die to Belon. First up, we're going to be covering Belon. How great. So first thing is you usually see smokers like Astra, very meta on this map, but some smoke, Cypher Cage, Jet Smoke, Astra Recall being thrown here. I had a student ask me what this actually does, and it prevents this player from being able to freely hold the angle, creates the threat of now these angles, and it also denies the intel where this player can't just sit here and be like, oh, nothing belong. So this allows you to scale the space more freely, and they can be close anyways. When you push this space, we kind of talked about this before in the previous Pro one, but you can use this, and then you can use this right side. This is the safest pathing for it. Unfortunately, this player can now kind of hold this angle a bit more comfortably and wait for you to come here, and that's probably your biggest worry. I don't think players will pick up on it, but you know about it, so maybe you can abuse that on defense. Next up, when you're actually hitting the site, the most difficult thing is now going to be making sure this left side's clear and then getting yourself on site. So usual smokes you see here are one for heaven, one for link. You can throw certain smokes for heaven like this, that kind of one-way CT. You might even see some smokes come out that are more like this and you look towards heaven. I don't know. The meta is going to be changing a lot, but you can't do like a safe plant hit here anymore. That's easily seen from long. It's a lot deeper. That's a lot safer. So congrats to the people. This is also the new safe plant here. Can't really be spammed by anything. And I don't really think there's a god plant here. I think this is the best plant, point blank period. But when you're entering this space, you're generally looking back calls and praying this guy doesn't peek you, and then you're trying to take more and more angles. Usually your biggest threats are back calls in here. So this is where you put most of your attention. You break left side, right side, basically any piece of cover. The edges of every piece of cover you check, and then the corners. Well, this would be a more left side pattern. You would come through here, clear this corner, and then break this down a little bit. I would always suggest breaking down places like this backside area, because there can always be players either holding the back like this, or they're close holding like this. Okay, once you full clear the space, you should have sight control and you can post plant positions. Another path you can take that I personally like a bit more is this more right side one. Oh my god, defenders can hide here. That's so cringe. Anyways, you go up here, you can clear this corner, and then just like pray you don't get swung from the smoke, or you have a shotgun, you go in that smoke. But that's kind of it. You go back here, you clear this for your holes player that's clearing holes, and it makes his push just a little bit easier. And then again, we're in post plant. Post plant positions, I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot of great ones here. Being here is crazy. I do think you have to fight on this, and you can't play Belon for free anymore. People are too smart with smoking the bomb nowadays too. So if they have a smoker alive, you have to fight site. Usually you see one player back calls like this. I think the next best spot is going to be somewhere like here. You can also have someone in this box like holding here from there, but it's not that great. Not a lot of cover to play around. And this is kind of the new angle that's been added here, where you can prioritize this, but you really don't have any fallback cover. So after you shoot this guy, you kind of got to walk in the open a little and go there. Maybe instead we just hold here. This might be a bit of an off angle. Different ideas for a post plant. It's also a really good idea if you're someone who can go on elevated surfaces just to get heaven control. Heaven control is very nasty to have in post plant, and I would always suggest you clear right side before left side. I've died a few times by a player just like hiding up here, waiting for the smoke to go down. And once you get this, you have a way easier kill on the rotators, and also if anyone comes through CT. If you manage to get control of this, and the only people are link, this round instantly becomes very, very easy. And we like easy, don't we? Okay, besides that, let's do left side mid. What you're looking at here is my favorite spot because you just hold one line, and this combines both the lurk opportunities into one single thing. I don't know how people haven't figured this out, but a lot of times you just get a free kill here. Your next best choice is to go through here. If you're peeking this at the start of the round, you can just look towards door. You can't be there yet. And then this one is kind of difficult. I would suggest trying to jiggle or use some utility here just to find where that player is, so you can swing this a bit more comfortably. But usually people look towards here, and then they look towards this box, and then your only threat's like that corner. And so when you scale a space, just make sure you check that corner. And then also, if anything happens, like you fight a guy here, be prepared for this guy to fight too. Maybe we can create a spam spot for this real quick. Shoot the chicken's tail. Shoot the chicken's tail. I don't know. Anyways, if you're going through art, you can use this. Take a bit of an off angle here. Jump up here. You can't see over the box there. See the player hiding behind here. Some players, boop, right here. You can look to spam it. I believe this will damage him a bit. Feel free to do that. But really what usually happens here is like you come close, you get like a flash here or an initiator, PC utility, or like someone cams through the window or darts through the window or flashes through the window, and then you scale the space like this. You always look towards here, and then you go down here, and you always check this. I would suggest taking this down because people love this angle. And then you check this corner, and then that entire time is kind of the same thing as that one angle. Like as you fight this guy, expect this guy to swing after. If you have teammates behind you, just hope they're holding an angle. We'll cover more off angles here as well, but there's this angle and this angle, but there's also the chance they're on top of that, which is a nice off angle. And then if your teammates are A main, this is easier. If they're not, you really have to worry about A main here. Before we continue, I need to clarify that these are my arms and not boobs. Also, if you're interested in improving, I'm now looking for dedicated players to join my 6-week coaching program. This is where you'll finally understand what's holding you back and get real results like this. You can also find over 50 resources in my private improvement community. Visit Slayerkey.com if this sounds like something for you. Otherwise, enjoy the video. But let's go aim in. Let's just start from there. This one's also really nice for some util right here, or a fade dog around the corner, something like that, just to hope take this space a little bit easier. If you don't do this or you're pushing the space late, there is a chance they're behind this box, so be very mindful of that. Besides that, I would really just suggest breaking this down bit by bit. This is probably the most likely angle you'll see, and the second most likely is like along this wall. So really make sure when you peek the space, you're doing this. You can even wrap around here and then clear that. Okay. Jump spot here is very nice. You can see a person holding flower, which happens quite a bit. But the smokes here are a little tricky. Sometimes people throw these smokes, sometimes people throw these two smokes. So it really just depends on like your smoker and what they're doing. My favorite one is smoking off art and secret personally, and then like someone else uses something for here. I don't think a lot of people play from flower. I think the rotators come from flower and the site players play secret. This angle is very, very annoying to deal with. But anyways, when you're entering their site, again, just break it down. Here's the first one, here's the second one, there's a site one too, but we don't really worry about that. Then there's back site secret also here, and then all of this wall basically. Notice how we break it down bit by bit. No player can hide here. Okay, and then now you're going to start to take side space. There's a few ways you can do it. Usually there's an art player here. I like to fight them in the smoke sometimes because they're a little stupid. But you basically either go left side, try to peek through here. If you don't have a flowery smoke, you'd probably want to take the right side more. This would basically be looking here, making sure this is good, and then peeking flower, peeking here, and then wrapping around here and clearing flower. Okay, you're exposing yourself to some different angles here, but that's kind of the best case you have, especially if you don't have information. Information's the sole decider of like how you should actually approach the space. If your teammate clears this or you hear one CT, maybe you want to just prioritize that one CT instead. But yeah, now you have site control. The best plant here is always here. If you plant in this corner, especially when you have site control or you know they're rotating over, you're throwing, this art plant is so important and so many people forget to do it. I wouldn't say there's like a better plant spot unless you're planning for like a different area, like CT here, for example. I think this is the best plant spot here. Point blank, period, poo. When it comes to angles on attack, again, there really isn't any. I would suggest fighting art. I think having art control here is your best bet. You can hold art and then they're all forced to go through CT, which is always really nice. You can also fight secret. Something that gets fought a lot. And then you have a teammate like here, you play here, and you guys double swing this together. This is a nice post plant. It also allows you to quickly peek this area as well. So you're in a pretty active spot here. You can push through flower, but it's usually through smoke, and usually people are just like here anyways, and it's pretty obvious. But there is no other off angles or like crazy spots here. You pretty much just take fights here. You just take the fights, use some utility, and then you play back if you want to. Okay, now that we've covered attack, let's talk about meta agents. So you see a lot of jet on this map. One, because there's a lot of very nice op angles. I'll show you a very nasty one on defense 4 here. And then you see sentinels that are very good of holding space or just like anchoring. So you see Killjoy, you see Chamber. You also see Cypher in this map, and then you might see someone who's comfortable taking a lot of first contacts like ISO. I'd probably put him under the same as Jet. And you see a lot of Phoenixes on this map, to be honest. And then for initiators, you usually see Sky. I'd put her second. I'd say Fade is a bit better than her. It is very nice in this map, especially for dogging this corner or eyeing into art or anything like that. And you also see Sova on this map sometimes. For controllers, I think Astra is probably the best pick right now. You see Astra, you see Omen. I'm not even going to put Clove here, even though I know we all have her in our games all the time. She's really just not that great on this map. And sometimes you see double controller where you have a Viper in this. And usually for another flash agent, you also have Reyna. You might see double controller Viper, but that's usually just pro play. And this is it. These are some very, very meta agents in this map. Killjoy puts her turret here, or Chamber puts his TP here, his trip here, or he puts his trip for mid. We'll talk more about defense there, but mid is a very big problem on defense. And these are my best picks. All right, let's talk that big D. Let me show those op angles on B. I know some of you are fiending for that right now. So the first one is you can look to op through here. Hold like an off angle here. When they smoke it, you can pop dash or peek through. But usually you can peek through and kill one here. The next one is, I think any agent can make this jump. Nice, good parkour. And so there's an off angle here. You can also up on here. This is another off angle you can play with a Vandal too. Just having something like this or holding this, jumping up. You can play up here too, but it's a little more dangerous because they could be right behind there when you do this. Another good one always is on top of this. Another nice off angle. This one's okay for Vandal. It's really an off angle though. You can also find yourself like shift holding this sometimes and it working, or crouch holding. I don't know why I started doing that. Started saying crouch or shift instead of crouch a lot. Besides that, your best spot here is probably backside. Like you have a lot of opportunity here. This is a really nice off angle that I don't even think I talked about in attack. So you can hold this. This is very good for the walk up, and then you can smoke, dash out, flash out. Like a lot of agents with the get out of jail free card is good here. Honestly, just in general, like your Cypher, you have Cage there. Like there's just a very nice spot. Usually you see your controllers smoking this off to make that push a little bit harder for them. And if you can get to this spot, it's also very nice. It's just super hard to clear now. And yeah. You might see this off angle used more where you just hold like this angle and see if anyone pushes through. Seems like a nice potentiality. And then you see players fight through screens. This spot's okay. This one's pretty much just like raw gunfight. There's an off angle you can have from up here now. You can hold anyone who scales that left side, or you can hold a little bit further back and just hold that angle. You can also see people get away with like this CT angle here, just because most people don't smoke CT. They do the heaven smoke, and if you hold the right side of it, you're able to see through. It looks a little like this. Behind the screens is also a pretty good spot. Again, you can hold a weird off angle like this. You also have something to play around. And I know someone in the comment section would be like, but Slayer, they're gonna spam you through it. Okay, and it's a very hard spot to spam. I'm not even gonna explain it. It's a good spot. Try it out. Don't be stupid and then peek, and then they spray you and you're like, what the hell, Slayer? They sprayed me. Like it's a hide spot. It's a hide spot. You wait here, you get your kills, and then you get out. Look, you can leave CT safely here. Wow, isn't that amazing? Another thing you can do from B is just jump spot over this. This is really nice, just so you can know if they're in link. A lot of times we lose mid control here. Again, we'll talk about it. So that's really your only choice. There's no like off angles for this spot. The best one is probably here. You can hold here. I wouldn't really suggest playing this corner because you risk them just going through here. And also most players end up clearing it because it's very safe for the attackers to clear it through here. Very safe. So yeah. Next up, if you're playing through here, again, I would just play more off angles here. Or if you want to help your teammate, you have to use something like a flash or a smoke just to get out and help them a little bit more. This is probably the weakest spot on the map. This and art. Mid is Pearl's biggest weakness. So a lot of players come through here. That's why we have like the trips here just to stop them from coming through. And yeah, again, not a lot here. If you want to peek into mid, you can hold here. If you don't peek for the first 2 or 3 seconds, you can peek towards mid. See if there's anyone mid, and then get yourself in this off angle here, clear that peak there, and then you can slowly clear all this close space. Okay, then you can decide to flank or not. The same is kind of true for art. Not a whole lot of off angles. Even playing here is pretty bad because they usually use util. I actually think this behind the box spot is pretty good, especially if you play a little bit further back like this. You can actually hold the player up there. You can jump on top of that little rafter there, and that can be pretty nice too. You can also look to peek out this side around. You're safe from right side here for a bit, so you can peek through here. If you peek through late, the can be right here. So some players like me, LOL, just run through and go to the right, and then they can scale the space. And so if you don't peek this at the start, there can be players close there. You can make sound, they cannot make sound. It depends how late you peek it. Okay, here's the God window where everyone throws their util. Not a lot of crazy off angles here. This one's okay. You might be able to get one, but again, usually people use util here. I don't find it working out a whole lot. Even this one, I don't find it working out. Yes, they can spam the box, but it's just too obvious of an angle. I think art's just a pretty difficult spot to hold. There's not a lot of crazy angles that you can actually play. The best thing I really have for you is to hold something like this with a get out of jail free card and then get the hell out. To use some utility and fight mid instead of playing more passive towards art if you notice they're going through there. Okay, last but not least is A. A's a little difficult one. You can jump up here and take this early fight. I can just like slowly peek it if you don't hear noise. If you do hear noise, don't want to slowly peek it. They can be in this corner, but you're just seeing if anyone's there. There's this top rafter here, but you clear that. And then usually if you do, you just get the orb for free. That's a free orb, baby. This is the same with the B orb. The B orb is more attack sided though. but that one's pretty free for them too. Okay, another thing you can do that's nice for this angle is you can hold op from here, or you can just hold like a pixel angle like this. Pixel angles are where the angle's slightly exposed here, and so you're not going for a kill, you're just trying to see if anything passes on your screen. And it should show up on the minimap too, even though my sliver is not showing there for some reason. I don't know. They code this game weird. One off angle you can have for this spot is holding from up here to hold main. Besides that, I wouldn't really suggest playing up here or any of that. This spot is also good for holding art. You can hold from here or here. Again, you can jump forward or jump back and you fall into safety. I also say this corner is pretty good if you have teammates playing on site and off of you. Like as long as you live here, maybe you hold more off angle here, especially when it's smoked off. You can tuck behind here, hold a deeper angle, and then your teammates can swing off of him and you're in a more safe position. This spot's pretty good too. There's an off angle here that people can walk into, so this is nice. You can do the same thing with this. Again, you know how much I love my walkout angles. You just sit here, they walk out, you shoot them. This is good if they don't smoke secret. Okay, flower is pretty much the same. No real off angle here. My favorite one's probably this right side. This is again like you just hold them coming out. You can also be right here too and do the same thing. Sometimes people don't expect you to actually be out on this angle, so you can get away with that. And yeah, I think that just about does it. I hope that helps your Pearl. Any questions or things like that, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll go to answering them. If you guys enjoyed the beautiful angle guide, hope you're enjoying the new map. I also did one for a BIS, so be sure to check that out as well. All the new changes, everything. And I will see you guys in the next one. Kobe!